rolling. Hi, I'm Luke, and we're going to do a tutorial on the PTZ. What's the PTZ, you might ask? Well, it's a pan, tilt, and zoom camera, such as this one. We affectionately call it the RoboCam. So, the first step for turning on the PTZ is mounting it on a tripod. Come, zoom in. Come. Zoom in. Are you zooming in? You'll notice that the PTZ has a label stating which direction the lens is facing. On top of the tripod shoe, you notice how there's also arrows that correspond to the direction that the lens is pointing. So the lens is pointing this direction in the front, we want it to match. Alright, attach to the tripod, make sure it locks, and do all of this before the PTZ is even powered on. You may notice how we have an SDI output on top of this camera, but that does not work with our switcher. So we need to use an HDMI cable. Plug in the HDMI cable, then wonder, how am I supposed to run this camera if it's far away? Well, we can still use SDI to run the camera signal, but we must use a converter box, an HDMI to SDI converter. So plug in from out to in on the converter, plug it into power, and then run your SDI cable from the head end all the way to the camera, and then plug it in to the converter box. You do not need to reconvert it back down to HDMI for it to work. It can work directly plugged into one of the SDI inputs. In order to control this camera from far away, we need to plug in an Ethernet cable as well. After plugging in the Ethernet cable, plug in the camera, but do not turn it on. As mentioned before, in order to control the camera, you had to plug it in through the network. We use Jay's mobile hotspot or any other wireless router. After running the Ethernet cable from the camera, plug in the Ethernet into any one of the black ports. Do not plug it into the one marked Internet. When you're ready to plug in the camera to the head end, find the SDI cable connected to the HDMI to SDI adapter, plug it into any one of the SDI inputs, then find a controller and continue to the next step. Make sure Jay's mobile hotspot is turned on. Plug in the Ethernet wire. Again, on Jay's mobile hotspot, plug it into any one of the Ethernet ports. Do not plug it into Internet. Plug the controller into power. Turn on the camera. The camera will self-adjust back to its home start. If you notice that you see nothing but black, try removing the lens cap first. Once the camera is turned on and you see host on the controller, press cam 1. It should change to goal. Now you should be able to control the camera. You know the camera is working when you're able to move the joystick and the camera moves along with it. The controls for the PTZ are simple. Up to push the camera up, down to tilt down, pan left, pan right, and then you twist left for a wider shot and twist right for a zoom shot. The buttons on the right allow you to make minute adjustments to focus. Simply pressing the lock focus button locks it, but you have to keep holding it. Iris plus and iris minus. These are your exposure settings. And of course, you could have it autofocus or auto expose. On the PTZ, you're able to save presets. To do that, press set, press the number. It can only be one digit, then press enter. You can save up to 10 presets. To use the preset, press the number. If you have the KVikes TV iPad, you're able to connect this to Jay's mobile hotspot as well. Go to settings, Wi-Fi, then connect to Jay's mobile hotspot. Open the PTZ app. Once you click on KVikes TV, you're able to control the camera. You're also able to set presets by pressing set, Then one of the buttons, you can even name it, and then just press it. If anyone accidentally touches the camera needs to be turned off and on again in order for its presets to work. And that concludes the tutorial on how to use the PTZ camera. Thank you for watching.